The Alma-class ironclads were a group of 7 wooden-hulled, armored corvettes built for the French Navy in the mid to late 1860s. 3 of the ships attempted to blockade Prussian ports in the Baltic Sea in 1870 during the Franco-Prussian War. 3 others patrolled the North Sea and the Atlantic, while the last ship was en route to Japan when the war began and blockaded 2 small Prussian ships in a Japanese harbor. Afterwards they alternated periods of reserve and active commissions, many of them abroad. 3 of the ships participated in the French occupation of Tunisia in 1881, while another helped to intimidate the Vietnamese government into accepting status as a French protectorate and played a small role in the Sino-French War of 1884–85. Design and description. The Alma-class ironclads were designed by Henry Dupuy de Loma as improved versions of the armored corvette bellicose suitable for foreign deployments. Unlike the predecessor, the ships were true central battery ironclads as they were fitted with armored transverse bulkheads. The original plan for these ships was to have a 2-deck battery with 4 194mm guns on the battery deck and 4 164mm guns mounted above them on the upper deck. 1 gun at each corner of the battery. This design was changed to substitute 4 barbettes for the upper battery, but the addition of armored bulkheads proved to be very heavy and the rear pair of barbettes had to be deleted to save weight. In partial compensation, the 164mm guns in the remaining forward barbettes were replaced by an additional pair of 194mm guns. Like most ironclads of their era, they were equipped with a metal-reinforced ram. The ships were built from the same general plan, but differed amongst themselves. They measured 68.75 to 69.03 meters between perpendiculars, with a beam of 13.94 to 14.13 meters. The ships had a mean draft of 6.26 to 6.66 meters and displaced 3,569–3,889 metric tons. Their crew numbered 316 officers and men. Propulsion. The Alma-class ships had a single horizontal return connecting rod steam engine driving a single propeller. Their engine was powered by 4 oval boilers. On sea trials, the engine produced between 1,585–1,896 indicated horsepower, and the ships reached 10.48 to 11.99 knots. Unlike the single funnels of the others, Jeanne d'Arc and Tétis had 2 funnels mounted side by side. The ships carried 250 metric tons of coal, which allowed the ship to steam for 1,310–1,620 nautical miles at a speed of 10 knots. They were bark-rigged with 3 masts and had a sail area between 1,388–1,454 square meters. Armament. The ships mounted 4 of the 194mm model 1864 breech-loading guns in the central battery on the battery deck. The other 2 194mm guns were mounted in barbettes on the upper deck, sponsored out over the sides of the ship. The 4 120mm guns were also mounted on the upper deck. Alma is the only ship positively known to have exchanged her 194mm guns for newer model 1870 guns. The armor-piercing shell of the 20-caliber MLE 1870 gun weighed 165.3 pounds, while the gun itself weighed 7.83 long tons. The gun fired its shell at a muzzle velocity of 1,739 feet per second and was credited with the ability to penetrate a nominal 12.5 inches of wrought iron armor at the muzzle. The guns could fire both solid shot and explosive shells. Armor: the Alma-class ships had a complete 150 mm wrought iron waterline belt, approximately 2.4 meters high. The sides of the battery itself were armored with 120 mm of wrought iron, and the ends of the battery were closed by bulkheads of the same thickness. The barbette armor was 100 mm thick, backed by 240 mm of wood. The unarmored portions of the sides were protected by 15 mm iron plates. Construction. Service. During the Franco-Prussian War of 1870–71, Thetis, Jeanne d'Arc and Armide were assigned to the northern squadron that attempted to blockade Prussian ports on the Baltic until ordered to return to Cherbourg on 16 September 1870. Montcalm, Atalante, and Reine Blanche crossed the North Sea, and Montcalm later watched a Prussian corvette in Portuguese waters. Alma was en route to the Far East when the war began, and she blockaded a pair of Prussian corvettes in Yokohama harbor once she arrived at Japan. After the end of the war, many of the ships were placed in reserve or sent to foreign stations, often as the flagship. During the Third Carlist War of 1872–76, Thetis, Reine Blanche and Jeanne d'Arc spent time in Spanish waters where they could protect French citizens and interests. In 1875, the latter ship rammed and sank the dispatch vessel Forfait. On 3 July 1877, Thetis rammed Reine Blanche, who had to be run ashore to prevent her from sinking. Further abroad, Reine Blanche and Alma bombarded the Tunisian port of Sfax in July 1881 as part of the French occupation of Tunisia. Atalante participated in the Battle of Toulon in August 1883. This was an attack by the French on the forts defending the mouth of the Perfume River, leading to the Vietnamese capital of Hue in an attempt to intimidate the Vietnamese government. During the Sino-French War of 1884–85, the ship was in Hue in early September 1884, but she carried Admiral Ame Acute de Acute Corbett to Keelung, Taiwan on 23 September.